You know, I'm hearing a lot of mess still, even though it's 2021. I hear a lot of mess and a lot of existential questions with the Chrisby community asking, was Ruby and Christina's love real? And I had to be quite honest, that's a fucking good question.
Sorry, yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. This is me, I'm so royal.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Crow, and welcome to Crow's Corner. But y'all already said that. You guys already know what's going on with it. And happy 2021 to everybody. I know I released my other video and I did not wish anybody happy 2021. I hope everybody has good fortune because damn, 2020 was... Woo, that was a flaming dumpster fire 2020. I don't know what the fuck happened there, but here we go. New year, new us, new everything. But how can I say it like this? Just welcome. So, like I said, let me give my shout outs. Shout outs to my editor, Carrie. Shout outs to RVCBard and Yashu's Playground. Shout out to my Discord community and the Let's Be Honest Discord community. We are growing every day, stronger by the number. And wow, I said I would be done with Chrisby or Christina and Ruby. I said I would be done. I really did. I said I would be done, but I can't leave well enough fucking alone. I really just can't. And how can I say it like this? We have to understand that there is an existential question that I didn't even answer myself. Even in my previous videos, I didn't answer it myself, actually, to be quite honest with it. And the question were Christina and Ruby in love? And wow, that is... Yeah, there's a lot of people who are giving mixed fucking signals saying, oh, no, they weren't in love. And, Christina, it was one-sided on her part. Willemy was in love with, that meatbag William. So many kind of excuses and stuff. And the situation of it is, I have to say, yeah, their love was real. Their love was very, very real. Ruby and Christina's love. Now, I'm not going to ramble on too long because I do have other things that are going to be coming up. Other projects that are going to be coming up because I will be talking about Black women for Black History Month, and not just Black women in general, queer Black women, because these are the unsung heroes that often nobody ever talks about. And, a lot of people running around here thinking that, Black people are a monolith for straightness and holiness. Well, your minds are about to get blown come Black History Month because, yeah, some of y'all need to get out of your Hotep headspace with that bullshit. But we're not going to get on that situation right now. But yeah, we got to ask if Christina and Ruby's love was real. It fucking was. Most definitely it was. It was actually realer to me than the straight relationship of Tick and Letty. Okay? Tickles and Lazy Letty. Seriously. It was very much real. It was more tangible. It was more effortless. And it just came naturally. And, like I said, shout out to all the actresses and everybody who have been great with this show. But we gotta be honest. Willemy and Abby Lee crushed their roles. That's some outer level acting that I haven't seen in a very long, long while. But aside from that, yeah, it was a real love. A lot of people like to run around and say Christina's crazy. Oh, she was really just using Ruby to get into her skin eventually. Blah, 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 all the above. Let me tell people this shit. Shut the fuck up, please. Please, just stop. It seems like you're just hurting yourself more at this point, naysayers. You're just hurting yourself. Hoteps and showteps, or whatever you want to call they asses, y'all just hurting yourself. And even some people who are in the Chrisby community who claim themselves, or fake ass Chrisby fans, as I like to call them, fake ass Chrisby fans, you guys are just hurting yourself more than helping yourself at this point. But yes, their love was real. It was very real from a standpoint that I find to be like I said, tangible. It was there. We felt it on screen when we watched it. And the situation that people need to understand about Ruby and Christina's relationship and their love, it was as real as 1955 could get. Because you got to understand about 1955 love versus 2020 love. 2020 love is this whole rat boy, fuck boy, if I can't have you sad shit. Or, oh, we're going to have dreams together, but we can't get off the couch and we can't stop smoking weed. No, it's those dreams. No disrespect to the weed smokers, but the 2020 love is garbage. I'm gonna be quite honest with you. Comparative to love from the or not 2020, excuse me, 2021 love and 2020 love are completely asinine, unrealistic goals. I can tell you that. Unrealistic goals. Ruby and Christina's goals were, as a couple, were interesting because at a certain point, these two women wanted to see each other as enemies so bad, but not really so much Christina. Ruby wanted to see Christina as an enemy so goddamn bad, even at the cost of her lying to herself. And I love me some Ruby, but even at the cost of her using Emma Till as a scapegoat, to not feel the love that she's feeling for Ruby. And I had to rewatch that horrifying, tangible, yet real, just surreal scene between them when they're having this conversation of, does she care? Does Christina care? And I'm gonna be quite honest. Ruby was more telling in that situation than what we think. A lot of people like to say it's just Christina that was feeling it for Ruby. No, Ruby was feeling her too. Because, first of all, she let her fuck up on her. That's one thing. She let her fuck up on her, okay? She really did. Like, knowing the fact that she was a woman inside a man's body, she did fuck up on her, okay? That's simple as that. But Christina and Ruby's relationship wasn't like Tickles and Letty's relationship in a certain sense. Because Tickles and Letty were on some, ooh, I see him. Ooh, I see her. Ooh, I'm going to take pictures of him. And ooh, I'm just going to let him get inside me. No. It wasn't so crackerjack playing black and white. The Christina and Ruby. First of all, they had 2 strikes against them for being an interracial couple. And then they had another strike against them for being bisexual or queer-coded characters. Okay? I don't even want to call them bisexual. They're just queer-coded characters. Okay? And to have that in 1955, plus the racial issue, it's kind of deep. I ain't gonna sit there and lie. It's very deep. It's very deep. And there's bound to be a lot of learning curves. Christina and Ruby were a learning curve. A very serious learning curve to each other as a couple. With Christina so much, it's Christina's selfishness, her arrogant behavior, and her being a fucking bastard, kind of. I love Christina, but she was a selfish, arrogant bastard. That's just simply who she is. She was a classic kind of selfish, arrogant bastard. You have to be real honest. She didn't like to. She was very impatient too. She didn't like waiting. She had that everybody must come to serve me kind of mentality, which is a human trait that is even still being seen in 2021. So, Ruby calling her out for that situation, for me, especially after the point that she made love to this woman and knowing that she was a woman, she made love to this woman in this meat suit. And her calling her out for her situation of you being a selfish, arrogant bastard, was Ruby in a way displaying her love. Because the situation of it is, it's not saying sometimes you hurt the ones that you love, but it's a situation of sometimes you tell the truth to the ones you love as well too. Because that is love, is you telling the truth to even the ones that you love. And even though it may hurt them, and it may hurt them, but you telling the truth to them is what happens. See, the situation with today's love is somebody's finally tell the truth after they get from the honeymoon stages, and somebody tell the truth like, hey babe, you may want to clean up, or hey babe, you may want to wash your balls, or whatever the case may be. And all of a sudden, oh, well, fuck you, and then they break up. No. Ruby and Christina were as real as you could get for 1955. And people who watch this show would say, well, that wasn't real, that wasn't it. First of all, you're looking at shit from a 2021 lens, where therapy is needed, and people have marriage counselors and things like that. Ain't no motherfucking marriage counselor up in 1955. You have to just get along and be on, and that's it. And not even a relationship counselor. They're not even married, but there's no relationship counselors in 1955. Hell, it was all just women, get your ass in the kitchen. That's it, bitch. And cook something and pop out some babies. That's literally what 1955 was in a certain extent. And it wasn't until much later in history that the women's rights would come up at the forefront once again for its second wave, I believe. I think it was second wave feminism around 60s and 70s. It's second and third wave. So, I mean, let's be quite honest here. If you're looking at Christina and Ruby with a lens of 2020, you've completely failed at understanding the relationship. You have to. Because the thing is, relationships are not just roses and cheeks and rainbows. It's very real. It's about getting real with each other. And the situation with Ruby calling out Christina about her disgusting behavior of being an asshole is the situation that Christina, out of love, called Ruby out for being a hypocrite. Because I love Ruby. I love me some Ruby. But Ruby was out of line too. Because Ruby tried to use Emmett Till's death as a focal point to start an argument with Christina because she was falling in love with her. That's the situation. And when I had to watch that scene again, when she says, I should be on the South Side. Instead, I'm here feeling safe with you in all your white privilege. Ruby felt safe with this white woman. It took a lot of my friends on the Discord community to point me out and be like, bitch, look what she's saying. I missed it so many times after watching that scene so many times. But it's the realest thing. Ruby felt safe with Christina. She felt safe enough to be with her at one point. But Ruby was lying to herself. And Christina called that out. She called that shit out. And see, that's a relationship, is when you call each other out for each other's shit, but still find a way to work past some shit, which they did. And they looked like they did until Letty came with her bullshit. A lot of people say, well, this is a toxic relationship. Go right. It's not a toxic relationship. It's a relationship that you work with. Some of y'all don't know what toxic is, even if a fucking chemical wastebasket hits you in your fucking head. Some of y'all don't know that shit. But with Christina and Ruby, it wasn't toxicity. It was getting to know who they truly are without the mask on, without the spells, the potions, the Dell, the William. It was them getting to know who they truly were and who they fell in love with inside. You can't look at this from a 2021 lens or a 2020 lens. You cannot look at this relationship like that. And the situation of it is for Christina calling Ruby out. Christina didn't just call Ruby out on that occasion. She called her out on the second occasion. She's like, you're right. We want to be you. You want to be us. but you misunderstood the invitation. It's do whatever the fuck you want. Stop running away from yourself. At least while you're in here, in my house, you are free to do what you want to do. So imagine what the fuck you want under the blue sky, over the blue sky. That was Christina saying, stop lying to yourself and stop trying to use this race focal point to claim that you hate me. I'll take the L because I fucking love you. Like, I'll take the L. I'll be that white man you hate. I'll be that white woman you hate. I'll be that white privilege that you hate. But I can't help it. And that's the true thing, is that you can't help it. And I know this is this reverse racism thing and stuff like that, because black people couldn't help being black back in those days and getting killed. But in the way Ruby was pulling it, I love me some Ruby, but goddamn, you know you loved her too. These two loved each other to their extent that they could love each other, ladies and gentlemen. And the situation of it is they had to go through the lumps before they got to the compassionate point. Whereas in Letty and Tick had to go through, oh, I love you, and then go through the lumps. I don't get it. Really, just like I told you, they weren't going to really be together no fucking way. So, I mean, it's one of the things of Ruby and Christina kind of skipped the honeymoon, and went through the rough patch, but then got to the honeymoon phase. Whereas Letty and Tick went through the honeymoon phase and then tried to, it just discombobulated on itself. I'm not doing another Tick versus Letty deal, because fuck them niggas, they suck, and I seriously do not care. But in a lot of ways, how can I say it like this? The compassion that Ruby and Christina had felt for each other, it charged them to do better. Them calling each other on their shit, on each other's shit, on that episode 8. How can I say it like this? It was a situation that was a wake up call for both of them to do better with each other, as people. Because why else would later in that episode, Christina, why would she risk nearly killing herself to understand Ruby's pain? She took that spell off of herself. At first, I thought she put it on her to let this, to be like, oh, well, to see if it'll heal me or so-and-so. No, she put that spell on herself because she, in a certain way, was almost going to kill herself. Christina Braithwaite is low-key suicidal. I have to be quite honest with you. I might try another video where she is. There's two very major instances where she is kind of suicidal a little bit. I mean, the finale really proves that kind of situation, because she's going through the motions as just trying to be immortal, but it's so hollow, it's so empty. And it's just like, oh, just please, to a certain extent, try to stop me, because I don't have, it's ridiculous. If you really look at like her love for, if you look at her love for, for Ruby towards the end, her fulfilling the issue of immortality was just something to do. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't brilliant. It wasn't, oh my God, I finally did it. She's just like, okay, I'm here. And it really is. She just wanted to walk off. So, I mean, I might get a little bit in touch with that when I do a little bit more research. But even, like I said, their toxicness, or whatever you want to call it, and their hiding and toxicness is one of those situations that smooth itself out to be love at the end of the day. And I think Ruby and Christina were very much in love to the fullest extent that they could reach of each other, even though they couldn't help themselves or help their own situations and shortcomings when it comes to family and letting go of family and not letting go of family. They still were in love to their fullest extent, or into their extent that they could really push. But too bad Misha Green is a piece of shit and didn't want to explore that. So, I mean, the thing is, Ruby and Christina's relationship was a learning curve. It really was. It was a learning curve in 1955. And considering in the fact that 1955, it was the baby boomer era where, you know, people were having children and, you know, the population was going up and people were having children and people were being married and only being completely, and only being pretty much, how can I say it like this? Married because it was an obligation at that point, you know, because it was, like I said, people would have sex, no big deal, but people would get pregnant. No lie, people would get pregnant, okay? And people would be married. So people would have to learn each other in so many freaking ways. My grandparents were like that. Somebody just got pregnant and my grandpa married my grandma. So, you know, like, it was the learning curve of learning who each other are, you know, learning who each other are as, is or are as people. I know this some wild shit, what I'm saying. It was that learning curve of them learning who they are as people. And mind you, my grandparents are baby boomers. They were the 1955 children and all the above. So it was the learning curve of them getting to know each other. And 1955 love is just different than 2020 love. Like I said, like, nobody wants to go through a learning curve in 2020 and 2021 love. Nobody wants to go through a learning curve. Where older people and older generations that were obligated to stay with each other for the sake of having a child, they were forced to go through a learning curve because it looked bad to be a single mother back in 1955. Today is baby mamas and baby daddies up the yazoo today. But Christina and Ruby, even though they were not a straight couple, had a learning curve to get over. And they found love out of it. It's just that they had to take their time. They were shy with who they were and how they were. And yeah, so I have to say their love was fucking real. Realer than Tick and Letty's. I can tell you that much. And even Hippolyta's and George's, it was still as realer than that. Because George didn't even feel himself to be honest enough to think that, you know, what do you call it? To think that, or tell his wife that Tick may be his son. He didn't even feel obligated or comfortable enough to do that. So in a lot of issues, in a lot of ways, you see Ruby being more comfortable with herself as a queer-coded character, and you see Christina being more comfortable when, you know, with herself to be like, okay, if this affects my woman, it's going to affect me because I'm never going to hear the end of it. But yeah, so I just wanted to get that little tidbit out, talk, not rant so fucking much and shit on the negative stuff that I don't like. I'm not doing a 2021 New Year, New Me shit. Fuck that. I'm still going to be a ranty ass bitch and a ranty ass crow. And that's just where I'm at, but I really wanted to just take the time to like break down the issues and answer the question of did they love each other? And they did. But like I said, comment, like, subscribe. Check out my girl Carrie on Bling It On Girl. And check out RVCBard, Orgasms and Bubble Baths, Yashu's Playground, Tumblr. Also, to check in the description below for Discord, for our Discord. So it's growing every day, y'all. It's growing every day. Crow's Corner is growing every day. We talk a lot about Chrisby over there, but some other stuff as well, too. So, we're going to be doing that. But next up, I'm going to be doing a huger project. Just a heads up. I'll be doing a huger project for, Jenny Frame. I'll probably be doing that sometime in, March or something around there. In February, I'll just be doing a lot of queer-coded characters as well, too. We'll be doing some Rosetta, we'll just be doing some other people. I'm just not even going to name it. We'll just be doing some other people. But thank you guys for tuning in. And comment, like, subscribe, like I said. And thank you. See ya.
Girl, when I hear him come like my fuse and then ba-bum. Later, see you later, I'm about to blow this up. You can sing my song if you want, I know you want it. It's always kinda funny, yeah, cause you know I'm a superstar on the sky to lead you on. Hit out.